Tonight, Spokane City Council meets for the last time this year. Everything they discuss, from fluoridation to a controversial street name.
Lots of active weather to get to this week, and the first of which will be snowfall for tomorrow morning, but it'll be a mix of snow and rain later on this week.
We're raising $2,500 a night at this point, and we're just dumping it straight back onto the restaurant, so it's really saving places.
Then see how one local group has dedicated themselves to giving back to businesses during these trying times of coronavirus. Good Monday night, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm Regina Ahn. Well, it is a glimmer of hope that we have all been hoping for. The first shipment of the COVID-19 vaccine arrived in Washington today. So here are 3 things to know about the vaccine. Washington is expected to receive over 62,000 doses of Pfizer's vaccine this week. Almost 500,000 people could receive the vaccine in the first distribution phase. High-risk healthcare workers, first responders, and residents and staff of nursing homes and assisted living facilities will be the first to receive the vaccine. Spokane County will receive 3,900 doses in the first shipment. We still don't know which healthcare providers will be getting the first doses and exactly which day they will arrive. Over in Idaho, they're on track to receive at least 13,000 doses of the coronavirus vaccines. The first shipment is set to arrive by the end of this week. The vaccine is being distributed by 7 local public health districts. The locations were chosen based on the number of healthcare workers in each district. Like in Washington, healthcare staff, COVID patients, and long-term care facility workers are among the first to receive that shot. The state expects to get another 89,000 vaccines in the second and third shipments. And in the U.S., shipments of the vaccine arrived at 145 distribution sites around the nation. Another 425 deliveries are planned tomorrow and 66 more deliveries on Wednesday. Almost 3 million people will get the vaccine this week in all 50 states. A second dose will follow in 21 days. 77 inmates at Airway Heights Correction Center have tested positive for coronavirus. In the past 2 weeks, 865 inmates at the facility have tested positive for the virus. AHCC has reported more coronavirus cases than any other Washington Department of Corrections facility. The DOC does not provide information about how many active cases are in its facilities, only the total number of cases. Tonight was the final Spokane City Council meeting of 2020, and it was a busy one. Our political reporter, Casey Decker, breaks down the highlights of what they did and did not do.
A handful of demonstrators outside City Hall this afternoon, protesting the idea of adding fluoride to the city's drinking water as a way to improve dental hygiene.
And we do not want fluoride in our water. We've said no 3 times already, democratically.
Tonight, City Council was going to consider a non-binding resolution, basically just reaffirming the city's intent to fluoridate. But ultimately, council members decided that was just unnecessary. They already approved a contract in September, accepting grant money to pay for the process. So it's likely fluoride won't come to another vote until sometime in January when the grant money actually arrives. As it stands now, Spokane is expected to at least begin studying next year how it wants to begin the fluoridation process. The council did, however, take action on renaming a controversial street that runs by Spokane Falls Community College. Fort George Wright Drive is named after a brutally racist 19th century American general who slaughtered Native Americans in eastern Washington. Local tribes have been calling for a new name for years. Tonight, council unanimously approved one. It's now Wistock's Way, after a woman warrior of the Spokane tribe who fought against Colonel Wright. Also tonight, council narrowly approved the purchase of 4 Tesla Model Ys for the Spokane Police Department. It'll cost the city about $100,000 per car, but Council President Brian Begg says it will save the city money in the long run. And finally, the council approved next year's budget. The council and Mayor Woodward have been negotiating for months, trying to figure out how to deal with a deficit that was caused by the pandemic recession. However, according to Beggs, this budget avoids layoffs, big cuts to services, or taking too much money out of reserves, though some reserves will be used. He says that's possible in part because of proactive measures taken earlier in the year.
You know, they were basically dealt with all years that we didn't fill a lot of positions, or we delayed filling positions and cut our travel spending and other things like that. And also what helped is actually, although there was a steep drop in sales tax revenues for 2 or 3 months, then it started coming back. So, you know, our economy isn't as bad off as it maybe shows on the news. People are spending money. They might be doing it by buying stuff on the internet, but we're still getting the sales tax from it.
The budget passed with a 6-1 vote. Conservative member Michael Cathcart was the only no vote, citing complaints about the negotiation process, feeling he and some other members were left out of the loop. Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.
Now to other news. Kootenai County Sheriff's Office and their dive rescue team rescued a woman who drove her car into Hayden Lake tonight. It was near the Honeysuckle boat launch. Dive members and fire personnel were able to remove the woman from her car. She is currently being treated for life-threatening injuries at Kootenai Health. It's not known why the woman drove into the water, but police believe alcohol may have been a factor. Taking a look at weather now, it really has been like a winter wonderland out there. I'm not complaining though. Thomas Patrick joining us now from the Outdoor Weather Center. So Thomas, how much more snow can we expect coming tomorrow?
Yeah, just a little bit of snow here or there throughout the weekend. Certainly makes the decorations seem like they're in place. Isn't that right?
Perfect for Christmas, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. The snow that you see on the set here, that's not going to be here by the end of this week, as our temperatures will be warming up basically day after day. Not before we get a little bit more snow for tomorrow. That's where our winter weather advisories come into play. All of the northern tier of the inland northwest going to see anywhere between 1 to 4 inches of snow. So not the heaviest snowfall, but just pretty much adding to what's already on the ground. There have been a few flurries out there for tonight. None of this appears to be accumulating, but might be intensifying, especially over Kootenai County. So at least some snowfall in the overnight hours tonight. I do think it starts to pick up a bit more widespread. We'll notice that first thing in the morning on Doppler radar with that snow picking up in intensity, especially by the late morning hours overall. But notice our temperatures will be above 32 degrees. So it will be that very slushy snow instead of a sticky or icy snow, if you will. In fact, here's what the intended radar is going to look like with some heavier snow late morning hours. So coming up, going to be timing out this weather system, show you how much snow is in the works before it all melts away later on in the week.
Well, during this holiday season, several businesses are wondering whether they'll be around this time next year. The pandemic has caused some serious financial problems, and while they wait for better days, the community has stepped up to provide support. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones explains how one Spokane group is giving back.
We're just going to wait and let people get online before we get started. I'm glad you're here.
Every night at 5 p.m., Rick Clark is locked into a Facebook Live supporting local business.
We raise as much money as we can, and then we dump that on a struggling restaurant, and we pay full price menu items for anywhere from 100 to 600 meals, really.
What started as an idea to feed the homeless has now evolved into Spokane Quarantine. The Facebook page has nearly 15,000 followers. Since March, they've raised almost $100,000 and have bought food from 90 restaurants in the region and more to come.
And these are owners that have helped the community all year long, and they've never needed help. And so now they're in a position where we can actually help them. And I share tears every day with a new restaurant owner because I'm asking them, how are you doing? You can't control and carry all of this on you.
The goal is to help people dealing with food insecurity. Once a meal is bought from the restaurant of the day, they're distributed for free. While helping anyone who's hungry and needs a meal for the day, it also brings new customers. Many of the page's followers make donations to the featured restaurants or return to purchase a full-priced meal.
This is Spokane, period. Like, it's an amazing thing that we're doing, but this is what Spokane's capable of doing all the time.
The Facebook page is now raking in a daily average of $2,500 in donations. Neighboring cities have reached out about starting their own quarantines.
Throughout this pandemic, people have stepped up for each other time and time again. There's no doubt that this has been an absolutely historic year, and as it comes to an end, remember your neighbors that are struggling right now. If you're able to, give back to the community, even if that's just by showing kindness to one another. Reporting from Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Some great words there from our own Brandon T. Jones. Well, as the most recent restaurant shutdowns has been extended now to January 4th, many restaurants have temporarily shut their doors. But what you may not know is the impact this has on restaurants. Whether they survive or not is really up to you, the customers. And tomorrow I talk with Calico Kitchen, a restaurant which was shut down for a few weeks, leaving their 30 employees out of work. And we'll see what they're doing now and also going forward.
Some of the things that are coming down the line because we're closed is that people are going through depression. If you're not working, you don't have a sense of self-worth and you're not taking pride in what you're doing.
I realized that all the most vulnerable people in the community that are still able to work in restaurants and hotels.
And Big Table organization, who you just heard from there, has an amazing outlet of resources for these restaurants and hospitality industry workers. So you'll want to stick around for that story. That'll be tomorrow on KREM News at 10 and 11. Well, still ahead here tonight on KREM News at 11, an exclusive interview of Spokane family says their dog got shocked in downtown Spokane over the weekend. The owners shared how terrified they were and what seemed like the longest 5 seconds of their life. Plus, later.
So in the spring, we had about an 83% connectivity with our students. So about 17% of our students weren't able to connect at all.
The Quincy School District covers a large area of rural central Washington. When schools had to go remote in the spring, they struggled to connect with some students. Learn the lengths the district went in order to find solutions for their students.